Hello everybody, Raspberry Barrel here, and today we'll be reading our second biography by Estrella Sentry. The biography we'll be reading today is Venus Butterfly, the first one. Again, this biography belongs to Estrella Sentry. Thank you for letting us read it, and please go check out all her art. Please forgive me if I stutter, hesitate, or mispronounce anything, and for any noises in the background, and let's get right into it. Venus Butterfly, the first one. While in search for her brother, she had found a great treasure, its power she used to protect her people at any measure. Venus Butterfly, the first one. Born 20 b.m., died 45 a.m. Was queen 1 a.m. through 23 a.m. Married to George Fields. Children, Aurora Butterfly. The first queen of Mewni, Venus, was born in the year 20 b.m. to an unknown parents. However, Venus recorded the name of her mother, Isabella. As Venus's sister reported, since early childhood, Venus was known as very independent, but intelligent and kind girl, with a great willingness to help her older relatives. Venus got a huge family, a grandma, Elaine, mother Isabel, 2 older brothers, 1 older sister, and 1 younger sister. A lot of time had passed since then. Many historically important fires and archives rebuildings followed later in the Mewni history. So even if Venus's family members' names were recorded, the records are either lost, burned, or simply forgotten. I watched her since she was born. Yes, I know who and exactly and when will become the first queen. I had to watch over her and, if needed, change the timeline. But as she grew, Venus showed more and more traits of outstanding leader. Even those simple team games with her classmates at school and with her siblings at home helped Venus show a good sampling of characteristics of an awesome leader. Leadership, charity, compassion, devotion, and inspiration. However, she also showed not quite a good trait for a queen: hastiness. She had a very hot temper and was going crazy if anything went not quite as she wanted. This led her to one serious quarrel between her and her older sister at the day of her 14th birthday. Being the hot-tempered girl she was, Venus ran away into the woods nearby her cottage, looking at the sun setting about 3 hours later. She decided to return to the cottage, but it was too late as her whole village was burning, relentlessly killing every living being. Paralyzed, Venus witnessed the fundament of her house burning down, when suddenly a pink flash right from the depths of the fire. Finally opening her eyes, Venus saw a butterfly-shaped crystal, the same size as her palm. She suddenly found herself surrounded by monsters who, as far as she could judge, wanted to kill her. Then a blast shot through the chest of one of the monsters. Venus suddenly felt herself bad for using magic for the first time. Other monsters, not knowing what had the strange girl just done, ran away as far as they could. Venus fell unconscious on the ground shortly after, only to wake up the next morning and meeting me, Glosric. As was expected, Venus freaked out a lot during my explanation of what she had done to that monster, who I am and what I'm doing here. But soon enough, she asked me to repeat everything I said again, and this time she didn't freak out or interrupt me. Shortly after our conversation ended, a red-haired and blue-eyed boy showed up from the bushes. Venus hugged and kissed him, explaining that it was her boyfriend George. Venus had a very hard time explaining to George everything that happened to her from the past half of a day. But she managed to get George to understand, even though it was very difficult. Most of the survivors of the fires were children who were lucky to be on the street that evening. When the nearby village heard about the attack on Venus's village, the people from all over came to help to fight with the monsters. Soon enough, Venus became the ultimate leader of the commoner uprising. Year after year, Venus's authority grew and grew until she started to be called Queen Butterfly. She was publicly crowned at the dawn of the first day of winter of 1 a.m. The wedding day and coronation were united into one ceremony. 3 years later, at 3 a.m., Venus gave birth to her only daughter, Aurora. She was a baby with the color of her father and golden suns on her cheeks. Aurora was calm, sweet, and well-behaved child. She was known for being extroverted, thus she loved to talk and play with other noble children. Highly thanks to Aurora being so talkative, she made her life as a future queen easier, since a good relationship with her ministers since childhood led Aurora and the whole kingdom to a better life. This also applied to Aurora's friendship with her future husband Pigeon Redbird and his sister Magpie. All three of them, including Lady Orbita Firefly, loved to watch sunrises and sunsets. During one of the such sunrises in 17 a.m., Pigeon confessed to Aurora in his feelings for her, but let's leave it for the next biography. When Princess Aurora was 7, Queen Venus decided to engage her daughter to the 10-year-old prince of a distant, possibly some south, kingdom, but the royal court was against it and eventually proved that she would break her daughter's life if she followed her idea. The princess's friendship with Pigeon Redbird eventually started to develop. Day by day, their companionship grew very much, and even after the rumors about Princess Butterfly and Lord Redbird started to appear already, since they were 8, paid a little attention to them. In the year 17 a.m., Queen Venus gave her daughter the royal magic wand on Aurora's 14th birthday. Queen made this decision due to that she found the wand being 14. She didn't expect for the wand to change its appearance, which once again made her feel odd. She took the wand and together with the Magic High Commission inspected it. Not finding anything bad, Princess Aurora received the wand officially. Ever since Aurora got the wand, Venus started to take her daughter to practically every royal council meeting she had to attend to. Aurora started to have less and less time for herself and her boyfriend. That's when Venus realized that her daughter needed more rest, even though she was the crown princess, and as such, the only heiress to the throne. But Venus didn't give up on her idea of teaching her daughter the art of negotiations, so if Butterfly Castle had a foreign visitor, their visit became a new lesson for the princess. Later in her life, Aurora wrote down in her journal, "Who 6 years ago might have thought that Mom pulling me into every negotiation dinner will come so useful in the future? Among all the extraordinarily kind things she had done to me, I considered that Mom's goal of making me a negotiational master was the best of them all." In the year 23 a.m., at Aurora's 20th birthday, Venus officially passed her crown to her daughter. Both the coronation and wedding took place as one ceremony. Aurora announced her decision of naming Lady Lotus Flowers, Magpie Redbird, Lords Pear Forest and Orion Firefly, Illumined Fields, Firmament Cross, Bay Watterson, and Lady Diamond Stone, the children of Venus's ministers, as her new ministers. As she felt that this is the rightful decision, in order to make it legal, Aurora signed a law, and according to it, the ministers are to be changed with the coronation of the new Queen Butterfly. The full document is in the Queen's office. You could ask your mother to let you read it. The same year, Venus witnessed the birth of her granddaughter, Phoebe. Curiously, the name was given to her by Venus, who stated that one of her sisters was called Phoebe, who also had red hair. After Venus's abdication as a queen, she and George decided to move out of the castle. Aurora decided to build a butterfly summer mansion where, also by Aurora's decree, the queen mother and king father could stay after the coronation of their heiress. In the year 30 a.m., a major tragedy occurred in the kingdom. The monster king decided to ruin the butterfly kingdom with the new war. Aurora almost wanted to fight them back on her own. When the kingdom realized it was too late, the monsters already got into the town. The quantity of monster forces was immense. It was impossible to count them. When they marched throughout the butterfly streets, whose building was barely finished, it was clear, if they will go crazier, butterfly forces will fall. Suddenly, the monster forces began to step down. Commoners were happy, but also confused. Why would the monsters step down by themselves? The answer came at the dawn of the next day. King Father George Field sacrificed himself, pulling the Monster King into a duel where they both died due to a giant amount of deadly injuries. The first St. George's Church was opened shortly after, where the memory of the first King Butterfly is honored to this day by the members of the butterfly family. The death of her first husband struck her very, very hard. She got too much She got very slim due to that she barely ate something. Her health became fragile and she was very, very lonely. Luckily, Aurora and her family were there for Venus at all times. Aurora took her office to her mother's mansion, and all the meetings started to be held there for the time until Venus would feel herself better. But the time from days turned to weeks, weeks turned to months, but Venus wasn't getting any better. All her further years without George, everyone considered a torture. Venus suffered a lot. I felt very sorry for Venus, as I knew she will never get over George's death. In the year 40 AM, Phoebe became the newest owner of the Royal Magic Wand. Venus attended to her granddaughter's wand passing ceremony and was seen happy for the first time in so many years. The glimpse of hope of Venus returning back to normal started to shine, but for not long. Once she returned to the mansion, she felt lonely again, plus now everything reminded her of her husband. The next 5 years were spent by Venus in grief and sorrow of the loss from 15 years ago. Aurora, Pigeon, Phoebe, and later Marlene were helping Venus and visited her. They gave meaning to her elderly life for as much as they could. Aurora, Phoebe, and Marlene prepared another visit to Venus. Once they arrived, Aurora was informed that Venus was having a nap right then. Aurora ordered to wake her mother up and inform her of their arrival. Phoebe followed the maid to her grandmother's room. While Aurora was giving orders to the rest of the servants, the screams were heard from the upper floor. Aurora and Malini hurried to check. When they arrived to Venus's room, they screamed too. Venus's lifeless body lied under the covers. The doctors from the Cross Clinics diagnosed the heart attack possibly happening in the night. 3 months were dedicated in the morning of the death of the first one, the first Mewnion's savior, the first butterfly, the first heroine. Venus meeting me for the first time, 6 p.m. And that was the biography of Venus, the first one, by Estrella Sentry. Once again, please go check her out. And thank you, Estrella Sentry, for letting us read your biography. If any of you have anything you'd like us to read, let me know down in the comments. And for any of you that are starting school soon, like me, have a good year. Once again, thank you all for listening, and see you next time. Goodbye.